Good afternoon again, and welcome to the Practical Occupational Therapist, where I'm going to be reviewing the last video of the afternoon on performance-based measures. And the last one is called the Kettle Test, and it's a great test for higher level cognitive impairment. And this is from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and Hadassah. And there's a great protocol online from 2005. And basically, it's making a cup of hot tea and coffee. So let me just give you the instructions because it'll intuitively make sense. The directions that you would give the patient. I'm going to ask you to prepare 2 cups of hot beverages using this kettle. This is a performance test that is intended to give me an idea how you're performing daily tasks. I will observe while you are doing this task. Now we will make the decisions and agreement about the details of the task. Your task is to prepare 2 cups of hot drink, one for you and one for me. You can choose from regular instant coffee, decaffeinated coffee, and many kinds of teas. You can add sweetener, sugar, or artificial sweetener, and also milk. Now tell me what you would like to drink. Now I love this test because it includes some novel performance, some novelty, you have to use some good problem solving and skills to figure out how to use an electric kettle. Because if you would simply have them prepare a hot drink, making a cup of hot chocolate or a cup of tea based on how we do it typically in America, then you would be mainly testing procedural memory. So using a kettle takes quite a bit of novelty in which they're going to have to figure out how to use a kettle. So I like that. Number 2, I like this test because you can find the protocol online. And number 3, it's easy and practical to use. Now when you're going through the test, you have them naturally do the test, make the 2 cups of beverage as best they can. And when they get stuck, that's when you intervene. And you go through a basic cueing procedure where it's more systematic. Number 1, you start with a general cue. Does not give specific information about the performance details of the task, usually in the format of a general question, such as, what do you have to do now? What is the next step? What else do you need? And you give that a little bit of time to see if they can figure out what to do next. If that still doesn't work, after usually a specified time of 30 seconds, then you go into a more specific cue. And specific cue guides the client to take specific steps or delineates details of the task, such as, now you have to turn on the kettle. The faucet remained open. The spoon is in the utensil holder, etc. And after a specific time, usually 30 seconds, or if it becomes dangerous, you give more of a physical demonstration or assistance, such as demonstrating how to connect the electrical cord to the body of the kettle, or assisting the client in turning off the faucet. Now, as you're doing the test, it basically breaks down on the scoring sheet the different parts of the activity analysis. And there's 13 steps that this test goes into. And on each step, you grade it on a score from 0 to 4. 0 is intact performance, 1 slow and or trial and error, 3 you had to give them a general cue, 3 they required a specific cue, or 4 they required physical demonstration or assistance. So you go through there and you score each specific step of the activity, and there's 13 steps on this, and you assign it a score from 0 to 4. At the end of the test, you add up the score, and it'll give you a score of out of 0 to 52. 0 means independent, 52 means they're more dependent. So I love this test because you can then take up each individual step and find an average for the whole test. So let's say the average is out of those 13 steps that they received a 3. That would tell you that the patient benefits from very specific cueing. So that'll kind of give you some knowledge of where to begin in therapy, and as you try to grade the activity and use less verbal cues over time. So at the end of this test, I also like it because it also has some questions at the very end, and it'll help you to gain some insight into whether you understand if the patient is aware of their deficits or not. It asks questions. Describe to me what you did from the beginning to the end of the task. How do you rate your performance of the task? How difficult was the task for you? So that way you can determine as their clinician how aware of the difficulties that they're having as they complete this test. So that way you'll know if you have to work on some awareness training as part of the intervention process. And thanks, have a good evening.